Welcome to our program. Please go ahead with your call.
Can you look at Revelation chapter 20, verse 14 and 15?
Revelation 20, verse 14 says, "And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death, and whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire."
Can you compare that to Revelation chapter 19 and verse 20?
Okay. "And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet, that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire, burning with brimstone."
In Revelation chapter 20, verse 10, if you don't mind, you can read that and I can compare all three verses.
Sure, I understand. Revelation 20:10, "And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever," or to ever and ever.
Yes, sir. And you can comment on that and compare three verses.
Okay. Well, in Revelation 19:20, we find the beast is taken, and with him the false prophet. And, it's interesting that back in Revelation 13, the beast came up out of the sea. In the first 10 verses, we read about that beast. And then in verse 11, it says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon." Now, if somebody gave an appearance of a lamb but spake as a dragon, that would identify as a false prophet. And then we read that there's an image made to the beast, and that image has to do with the corporate church. So this is what the focus is on verse 20. It is on Satan's rule over the world as the beast. Revelation 13 lays out that he rules the nations, and his rule over the churches. He becomes the false prophet, because he's the founder of lies, he's the father of it, and the church takes on his image. And so when Judgment Day comes, the beast is taken, with him the false prophet, and they're cast into the lake of fire. And the lake of fire is simply the wrath of God. Satan is being put down, and the devil, the beast, and the false prophet, all one and the same individual, in their case, is being put down from all official rule over the world and over the nations. And then in verse 10 of Revelation 20, "And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night to ever and ever." So this is indicating, the devil, the beast, and the false prophet, all one and the same individual, the fallen angel known as Satan. He is all of these, but just as we saw in Daniel 7, where it sort of, split the being of Satan into the language of the beast was slain, we would expect that's the end of Satan. But then it says, "But the rest of the beasts had their lives prolonged." So Satan is slain or cast into a lake of fire. You're done. You're dead. That's the end of you. But he still exists. And so it's very complicated language, but it appears in Revelation 20, verse 10, that God is just looking at the devil, Satan, from another angle, another viewpoint, the one in which he is continuing to exist. He's lost all power and rule, but he's continuing to exist until the point of eternity. He is in this lake of fire, as well as every other aspect of the devil or Satan is. But I think that by calling him the devil here, God is just looking at Satan from a different angle. Now in Revelation 20, 14 and 15, "Death and hell were cast into the lake of fire." This is the second death. And if we go back to verse 13, "And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works." So God's judgment, which we're in the process of, is upon every unsaved person that's ever lived in all the history of the world. This is the time of the official judgment of God. God is judging the unsaved that are physically alive, as well as the unsaved that have long died. And so they're all delivered into the lake of fire, into the wrath of God, where ultimately, finally, on the last day, when the whole creation is burned up, it will have that effect upon every unsaved person who's ever lived. They also will be burned up. Then the judgment will be complete. Death and hell, hell itself is to be destroyed, as we read in 1 Corinthians 15, verse 26. It says, the last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. And death is synonymous with the grave, and the grave with hell. So God here is telling us death and hell will be destroyed on the last day at the completion of the reign of Christ over the nations of the world.